The cameras flashed, the crowd froze, and just like that, the velvet voice that soundtracked a million love stories went completely silent. Today, we're asking, what happened to Peabo Bryson? And what is the real story behind his sudden passing?
Yeah, it is the kind of silence that forces the entire music industry to just stop. And honestly, anyone who has ever slow danced in a gymnasium or fallen in love to a radio playing in the background, it makes you reflect on the machinery of fame.
It really does. So welcome to the deep dive. Today we're opening up the Starscope report to pull back the curtain on Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and the intricate stories behind the fame. We're tailoring this specific journey exactly for you, the listener, to give you a front row seat to a massive piece of pop culture history.
Absolutely. And we've gathered an incredibly rich stack of sources for this analysis. We are pulling from Billboard, Big T, Variety, The Guardian, and Michael Fairman TV.
Lots of ground to cover.
Right. Our mission today is to trace the shocking final days of 75-year-old Peabo Bryson. But more importantly, we want to decode the mechanics of his career. How does a legendary R&B balladeer navigate 50 years in a notoriously ruthless industry?
Yeah, and we're going to track his extraordinary, almost unbelievable transition from the grueling Southern Shetland circuit all the way to becoming the undisputed king of the Disney Renaissance.
Which is quite the leap.
I mean, it's a massive leap. And we'll also examine the deeply moving, intimate reactions from the global superstars who really relied on him as their anchor.
The contrast between his beginnings and his peak is staggering. But to understand the full weight of his legacy, we kind of have to start at the end, because the timing of his passing is what took the entire entertainment world by complete surprise.
Right.
He passed away at 75 just as he was preparing to embark on an enormous 80-city global tour.
Wait, 80 cities? That is just wild. Because if you look at the timeline leading up to this, he wasn't fading away into some quiet retirement. Up until the very end, he was incredibly vibrant. Let's rewind to 2019, right?
Yeah.
He survived a massive heart attack. It was a terrifying health scare. But he didn't just survive, he bounced back. Just this past April, in April 2026, he posted these joyous, energetic family photos on social media.
I saw those.
Yeah, and the caption was literally, "This is 75."
He was visibly celebrating life and physically preparing for something monumental. I mean, think about the sheer physical and cardiovascular demand of a live vocal performance.
Oh, for sure.
When you are an operatic R&B singer, your diaphragm, your lungs, your heart, they are all essentially functioning as high-performance athletic equipment.
Right. It's not just standing there holding a mic. It's a workout.
Exactly. And a heart attack damages the very muscle that pushes the blood that fuels that entire process.
Yeah.
So to recover from that, and then look at a calendar, see 80 intercontinental tour dates across North America, Europe, and Africa, and say, yes, let's do this. It's a display of almost superhuman medical and artistic defiance.
Superhuman is the word for it. And you see that defiance in the footage from his May performance in Georgia alongside Jeffrey Osborne. It wasn't a nostalgic, low-energy farewell tour vibe at all.
No, not at all.
It was a victory lap. He was gearing up for the Golden Touch Tour to celebrate 50 years in music. The stamina required to even plan that is just mind-boggling. It's like watching a maestro prepare to conduct his grandest symphony, only for the baton to drop right before the downbeat.
Yeah.
Why do you think artists like Bryson never truly want to retire?
Well, I think it speaks to a relentless dedication to the craft. For Peabo Bryson, the stage wasn't just a place to clock in and work. It was his natural habitat. When you possess an instrument like his, that incredibly rich, textured tenor, it becomes your primary mode of communication with the world. To stop singing, to cancel the tour and just sit at home would be akin to taking a vow of silence.
Wow. That's a really powerful way to frame it. But the details of those final days are so sobering, precisely because of how abruptly that momentum was halted. So on Sunday, May 31st, 2026, Bryson suffered a stroke. He was immediately placed under medical care, but just 2 days later, on Tuesday, June 2, at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, he transitioned peacefully at a hospital in Marietta, Georgia.
And he was surrounded by his family and those closest to him. It was a very quiet, private end for a man whose voice was so famously public and powerful.
Yeah, and the public reaction was immediate. Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens released a tribute talking about how Bryson's music brought comfort, joy, and inspiration to millions around the world.
The family's official statement was also really beautiful. They described his voice as the soundtrack to some of life's most cherished moments, which really highlights how deeply embedded he was in the cultural fabric.
And this is where we have to look at the mechanics of his career. How did he build that specific, intimate connection with the public? because he didn't just rely on traditional top 40 radio play.
Right. He found a backdoor into the homes and the daily routines of millions of people in a way that was completely unprecedented for an R&B artist.
And that's not even the wildest part. If you're fascinated by the hidden machinery of the entertainment industry, make sure you're subscribed to this feed, because the way a kid singing in local segregated revues became the ultimate voice of daytime television romance is an absolute masterclass in industry hacking.
It really is. To set the stage, we have to look at a staggering statistic from the sources. Peabo Bryson holds the distinction of being the first artist in music history to have separate records topping 4 different charts.
4 different charts.
Yeah.
That means he wasn't confined to one demographic at all. But to understand how he moved from Greenville, South Carolina. He was born Robert Peabo Bryson, raised primarily by his grandmother and his mother.
And his mother was a serious music aficionado, right?
Oh, totally. She would take the family to see legends, Sam Cooke, Little Richard, Billie Holiday.
So he grew up watching the literal architects of modern soul music. And he didn't just watch, he got to work. By the time he was 14, he was singing backup for a traveling revue called Al Freeman and the Upsetters.
At 14.
At 14. And by 16, he leaves home to tour with Moses Dillard and the Textown Display. He's just grinding on what was known as the Southern Chitlin Circuit.
Let's explore that environment for a second, because the Chitlin Circuit wasn't just a series of gigs, it was an absolute crucible. For those listening who might not know, this was a network of venues, clubs, juke joints, theaters that were safe and acceptable for African-American entertainers to perform in during segregation and its immediate aftermath.
It was the ultimate musical boot camp. The conditions were often grueling, you know.
Right.
You were playing to audiences who were eating, drinking, socializing. You had to aggressively capture their attention. You didn't have the luxury of modern, sophisticated stage monitors.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about the tech side.
Yeah, you had to learn how to project your voice, how to command a room with pure vocal power and charisma night after night. That physical and psychological conditioning is the exact foundation that allowed him to project such immense confidence later in his career.
It's honestly like a street ball player, organically mastering the game on the rough asphalt, only to end up coaching the Olympic gymnastics team. The fundamental understanding of rhythm, crowd control, and raw talent transfers, but the audience and the venue become entirely different.
I love that analogy.
Thanks. And that shift really begins in the 1980s. He didn't just cross over from R&B to pop. He essentially hijacked the soap opera world.
It was a brilliant, almost subversive cultural strategy. I mean, in the 1980s, the music industry was highly segmented. Radio gatekeepers were notoriously rigid about what genres played on what stations. But daytime television, that was an entirely different beast.
Oh, think about daytime television in that era. It was an absolute juggernaut, millions of people tuning in daily, and suddenly, Peabo Bryson's duet with Roberta Flack, "Tonight I Celebrate My Love," becomes the iconic, long-running theme song for the ultimate super couple, Belle and Hope, on Days of Our Lives.
And this wasn't just background music either. The showrunners actively integrated the song into the narrative. In 1983, when the character Hope turns 18, she dances the night away with Beau to this exact song.
Wow.
Yeah, so the music became psychologically intertwined with their romance for viewers who watched religiously 5 days a week.
And he leveraged that momentum brilliantly. I mean, he went on to sing the main vocal theme song for One Life to Live, a theme that ran for 7 years. He actually appeared on the show in 1985 to perform it.
Yeah.
Then he jumps over to another massive soap, All My Children. His song I Found Love becomes the heavy rotation track for the romance between Erica Kane and Dimitri Merrick. He even guest starred in the fictional town of Pine Valley to perform at a wedding reception on the show.
It's just so smart. And when we look at the tributes following his death, you see the long-term emotional payoff of this strategy. Peter Reckell, the actor who played Butch Brady on Days of Our Lives, tweeted that hearing Bryson's song immediately brings back a flood of genuine emotions and memories.
Yeah, the official soap opera accounts released statements mourning him too. He'd become basically inseparable from their most profitable storylines.
Exactly.
But wait, let me push back on this a little bit. Didn't singing soap opera themes risk turning him into a novelty act? I mean, how did he avoid becoming just another purveyor of cheesy elevator music, getting stuck as the soap opera guy seems like a fast track to losing your credibility as a gritty R&B artist.
That is a really crucial question, and the reason it worked, the reason it didn't ruin his credibility, goes right back to the Chitlin circuit.
Oh, interesting.
He brought such immense, undeniable technical skill and gravitas to those recordings. His vocal tone was so sophisticated that it elevated the soap opera rather than the soap opera dragging him down.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right. He bypassed the traditional gatekeepers of top 40 radio and embedded his voice directly into the living rooms of housewives, college students, and shift workers across all racial and demographic lines. He didn't become a novelty. He became a household fixture. He monopolized the concept of romance.
He essentially became part of the family furniture for millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
And if you grew up in the 90s, you probably just know him as the Aladdin guy. But what you might not realize is that the Disney era was only possible because of the immense trust he built with middle America during the 80s soap opera boom.
Exactly the right connection. When the 1990s roll around, Walt Disney Animation Studios is entering its renaissance. They are making these massive, expensive animated features, and they need songs that appeal to children, but also have enough adult contemporary appeal to win Oscars and dominate the radio.
Which leads us to the next massive chapter. Bryson achieves outright immortality by winning 2 Oscars and 2 Grammys back-to-back for Disney's Beauty and the Beast in 1991 and Aladdin in 1992.
Those are cultural milestones that fundamentally changed the business model of animated film soundtracks. Disney needed a voice that was technically flawless, undeniably romantic, and universally trusted. Peabo Bryson was the safest, most bankable bet in the entire industry.
And in doing so, he became the ultimate duet partner. He scored Beauty and the Beast with Celine Dion, winning a Grammy and an Oscar. And the very next year, he teams up with Regina Belle for A Whole New World.
Yeah.
Which hits #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, actually dethroning Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You, and wins another Grammy and another Oscar.
I mean, to win an Academy Award as a vocalist is rare. To do it back-to-back with 2 different duet partners for 2 of the most financially successful animated films in history, that secures a legacy that outlives you by generations.
It really does.
Yeah.
And the viral responses to his death really zeroed in on this specific era, and they reveal something fascinating about his character. Let's look at Celine Dion's statement, for example.
Yeah, that was a tearjerker.
She was completely heartbroken, but she revealed something incredibly vulnerable. She noted that when they recorded Beauty and the Beast, she was just learning to sing in English. She was stepping onto this massive, intimidating global stage, navigating a brand new language, and she said Bryson's generosity made her feel profoundly safe and comfortable.
That detail unlocks the secret to his success as a duet partner. Singing a duet is essentially a high-wire act of ego management and breath control.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
If you overpower your partner, the song fails. If you hold back too much, the song feels empty. Bryson had this operatic tenor, a massive vocal engine, but he knew exactly how to feather the throttle. He empowered the women he sang with.
He didn't try to steal the spotlight.
Exactly. He created an environment in the studio where an artist like Celine Dion, who is an absolute powerhouse, could feel secure enough to deliver a career-defining performance while feeling linguistically vulnerable.
He was the ultimate musical safety net. It's like a world-class figure skater pairing up for a doubles routine. He had the foundational strength and the technique to do the heavy lifting, allowing his partner to shine in the spin and get the applause.
And he never seemed to resent that role, you know? He embraced being the anchor. There's a great anecdote from comedian Lonnie Love that's circulating right now.
Oh, I think I saw that.
Yeah, she mentioned finding him sitting alone on the deck of a cruise ship just last year. They ended up talking passionately for hours about his deep, abiding love for his craft. After 50 years, he hadn't become cynical at all. He was still eager to share his wisdom.
That deep collaborative bond he built with his peers is what makes the story of his final days so poignant, especially regarding his other Disney partner, Regina Belle. And hey, if you're loving these stories that reveal the humanity behind the headlines, take a second to hit that subscribe button, because Regina Belle's farewell is one of the most devastatingly beautiful moments you'll ever hear about in the music industry.
It really is. It basically distills his entire legacy down to a single room.
So according to her public statement, days after his stroke, while he was still under medical care, Regina Belle went to the hospital to see him. She sat by his bed. She held his hand. And in the quiet machinery of that hospital room, she leaned in and whispered their biggest hits to him.
Oh, man.
She sang A Whole New World, and she sang Total Praise. which is a sweeping gospel anthem they had recorded together.
Just visualize the intimacy and the heartbreak of that moment. Two voices that had perfectly intertwined to win Grammys, Oscars, and top global charts, now reduced to a whisper in a hospital room in Marietta, Georgia, at the very end of his life.
It gives me chills. She called him her official duet partner. She shared that the hardest part of his passing is knowing she will never be able to sing again with the person who helped her create such undeniable magic.
Right.
But she also noted that the music they created is permanent. It will live on, woven into both of their legacies forever. He was there to carry the melody for her, right up until his last breath.
It just highlights the profound immortality of recorded music, doesn't it? The physical voice, the lungs, the diaphragm, the heart, they eventually go silent. But the vibrations they captured in those studios in 1991 and 1992, those become a permanent part of our collective human memory.
Absolutely.
He left an indelible mark not just on the Billboard charts, but on the very souls of the people he shared a microphone with.
Yeah, well said. But before we wrap up today's deep dive, there is one final, lingering mystery about Peabo Bryson's legacy that hasn't quite made it to the front page of the main headlines yet, but is hidden right there in our sources.
And it is something that could completely recontextualize everything we've just discussed over the last 15 minutes.
Exactly. So we know that right up until his passing, Bryson was actively in the studio. He was working on his 26th album with the legendary production duo Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
The same team behind his critically acclaimed 2018 album, Stand for Love.
Yes. So there is unreleased music in the vault. But the sources also reveal he was working on something far more revealing. A comprehensive biography slated for release next year.
This raises an incredibly compelling question for anyone who follows pop culture history. I mean, think about the arc of the life we just traced. He started in the segregated South, performing in juke joints. He navigated the notoriously intense, contract-heavy world of 1970s and 80s R&B.
Oh, which is a whole other story in itself.
Completely. And then he figured out how to conquer daytime television, and then he became a crown jewel of the Disney corporate machine. The eras he witnessed, the boardroom secrets he knew, the cultural shifts he lived through, it's vast.
It really is. With his sudden passing, what untold stories, what Hollywood secrets, and what deeply personal revelations are hidden inside the pages of that unreleased book. We've known him through the carefully produced lyrics of his love songs for 50 years. But his written words, his unfiltered perspective on the music industry, might soon give us a completely new, unvarnished understanding of the man behind the romance. It's something for you to keep a close eye out for next year. The spotlight may have finally faded on the stage, but the final, most revealing act of his story might still be waiting to be read.
It guarantees that even in his physical absence, he still has a voice, and he still has a story left to tell.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.